everyone, and welcome to another special episode of the Business Brain Dump podcast. I'm Jamie McAnally from AutoEnhance.ai, and I'm here with Andrea
Coughtry, Lexington, Kentucky, Coughtry Enterprises. The BBD's back, and we have our first ever female podcast guest. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, Alex.
Thank you guys for having me. This is so awesome.
So, Alex, do you want to give us a little intro on yourself and Northern Spruce Media?
Yeah, okay. Full notes version. My name's Alex Coombs. I am the founder of Northern Spruce Media and the also founder of a new business I'm launching, or just launched, called Northern Spruce Creative. I've been doing Northern Spruce Media for the last 7 years. We're going into our 8th year soon. And yeah, we've been just hustling and bustling for the last 7 years, but it's gotten to the point where I'm at a team of 18 people now as of yesterday. So with a growing team, constantly growing, trying to think of new ways to do different things, be initiative, and keep my team constantly thinking about how they want to grow their careers within the company is like huge for me. But yeah, other than that, I just have an amazing team, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Amazing. Great to have you here. And obviously you can hear the Canadian twang. You're based in Ontario. I keep getting this wrong, right?
Ontario, yeah. Jamie had to learn how to say Ontario. It was just he kept saying it. I was like,
calling it Ontario.
Ontario. And I was like, what's Ontario? And I was like, my God. But yeah, so I'm just like 45 minutes away from Toronto, in a small town called Hamilton. But it's not that small. It's like, I would say it's a better Toronto at the end of the day.
Nice.
Whoa.
I love it.
Starting a fight there. But yeah, this is great to have you on the podcast, Alex. So we met at the PMRE conference in Vegas. What was that, like 4 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is quite crazy. So you found us before the conference, right? You found AutoEnhance before the conference. How did you find us?
I think it was just Google, just constantly being like, how can we make our photo editing more efficient? Because like, that's my word for next year is efficiency. And so Googling AI photo editing and just like clicking on a bunch of them, found yours. I think we did a few tests just through your website. And then when I downloaded the app for PMRE, I found you there. And I was like, oh shit. So then I added you as a friend. And I think that's just how we kind of connected right off the hop.
Yes, total coincidence.
Yeah. So it's just like small world thing. It's like I found you, and then I really found you, and then I found you in the gym.
Yeah, this is pretty mad.
Yeah,
well, this is the random thing. So Alex first reached out on our chat on our website, and we were talking and learning a bit more about the business. Then we connected on the PMRE app, and we organised to have a meeting on Tuesday. And I think it was on Sunday or Monday before the conference. I was the only person in the gym having a great time, having a peaceful time. And then Alex comes in.
Did you ruin the peace, Alex?
For sure I did.
It for me. But I had no idea it was you. And I think you didn't know that it was me. And then I think you followed me on Instagram, and then I saw on your Instagram after I was at the gym that you were the person in the gym, and I was like, "Oh shit,
yeah,
you're the person in the gym." So it was
We're forgetting a major part. I walked into the gym, and Jamie was recording himself doing handstands. I don't even think it's hands. You were walking on your hands, and I was like, "Oh shit." Day. So then you walk into the gym, you see someone walking on their hands, filming themselves, and you're awkwardly in the background. You should check out that video because I'm there being like, oh, I don't know.
I saw the video, but I didn't notice there was somebody in it. So I'm going to go look because I'm like, the last time that he came to Kentucky and we were at the gym, he was like, let's do handstands. I'm like, let's not. I have no business to be doing handstands.
I thought I was all alone. I thought I had the gym to myself. I could do my handstands and fall over in peace. But you were in the gym. So super random. And then we had a gym meeting on the Tuesday. So we went to the gym together and then spoke business, which is a great way to test how well you know your business. Because can you pitch your business whilst running 6 kilometers? That was the test. But it was great. And then, we hung out for the conference.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not a runner. Like, Jamie knows this. When he was like, so how long are we going to run? And I was like, 10 minutes. Like, I don't know. And we ended up running for like 45 minutes, spoke the whole time. And then we did it again. I think it was the next day. And I was like, hey, this is awesome. It's like I can run, talk about work, which is working. And it just jived and it felt good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have hit on so many things that we talk about on the podcast. One, the power of networking. I think that's how we really got started. When we started the podcast, I think that's what we spoke about the most. And it's something that I'm super passionate about. And it's crazy how those little instances happen. And a lot of times it's not always even during the conference that you meet. It's after the conference, before the conference, on break. And I think it's just being open and connecting and not always just be plugged in on your phone with our headsets in, just in our zone, which we need sometimes. But, you know, how amazing that you guys met. And it's so much better to make a business connection when that's organic. And then something else we talk a ton about is trying to take care of yourself physically. And we were just at the gym at 5 this morning. Today is like my rest day. So I just had to do like some baby yoga this morning.
Yeah.
But I think that's awesome. So you guys hit on like two things that I love, like taking care of your body, your fitness, and then networking.
Yeah.
It was quite random I think it was the last day, maybe it was Friday or Thursday. There was like 5 or 6 of us from the conference in the gym, and it was like a post-conference debrief in the gym, which was quite funny. So,
and I didn't meet any of those people yet, so it was just like I was still continuously meeting people at the gym. But it's like I honestly, like, just like you said, Andrea, the fitness part of it is so cool because then you automatically are relating people because they do want to take care of themselves. You know, they're not having a pop in the morning. They're having water and like building muscle and building their muscle.
Pop. I haven't heard about a pop in a long time.
Can of pop?
Get you a can of pop.
What do you call it?
Well, I call it like
soda, is it?
Yeah, soda. Like a
pop. Soda. Yeah.
We call it a fizzy drink in the UK. So.
Oh.
But okay, he also calls lozenges and like throat candies. I'm like,
okay.
We need to translate sometimes for this conference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was really awesome. It was a great conference, wasn't it? But your background, so how did you get started with Norman Spruce Media? I think that's what I am really curious to learn more about, because it wasn't like you just woke up one day and you had Norman Spruce Media, right? It started from somewhere.
Yeah. So I'll give you some hindsights. I was teaching, so I was a professor for 11 years. So I was teaching photo and video and like editing, the whole 9 yards. I was teaching all of that. And then while I was doing that, because I was only part-time, so I was a part-time professor, I was doing side things, like just to keep my flow going. I was designing hats, and my hat company was called Crafted Co. So basically, I'd make hats for people within the city. I was making hats for CFL players, for companies out in Los Angeles. Like, it just started to pick up everywhere. So I was like hat designing, and then I was professing, and then I was DJing. But during one of my meetings with a client who wanted hats made, he was a real estate agent. And I was like, okay, cool. We were talking. And I was like, can I just shoot one of your houses? Because I've never done it before. And I'm like, I wonder what that's like. So I went in. He said, yeah. I don't know why he said yes, but he just let me into this house and just shoot it for free. And I didn't turn a single light on. I had no idea I didn't understand the angles, the lines, anything. I just was shooting for the hell of it. And I sent them to him. I was like, what do you think? He's like, not good. Like, not good.
Toilet seats up.
Yeah, like, make sure you do this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, cool. Can I shoot more of your properties for free? And he just was like, go for it. So I was just shooting all these properties for probably months till I got to the point where I was like, okay, I have it now. I think I can charge for this. But the main reason why I wanted to do it in the first place, because I noticed that there was a small niche and nobody was good at it. And I'm the type of person that if I'm going to do something, I'm 100% in it, and I'm going to be number one. I can't fail, and I can't not be the best. Doing it for free for months till I got the hang of it, then it became word of mouth referral. And then I was just constantly doing it, maybe like, I don't know, 5 a week. And then it turned into 5 a day. And then it turned into 15 a day. And I think by next year, spring market will probably be 25 to 30 a day.
That's amazing. So at what point did you, because my question, I love this. Do you think entrepreneurs are born or made? I think you were born that way, and that you might have a high D personality, let's just say, you know, but I love that. So you jumped into this as a school teacher, professor though. So you had a little more flexible hours than like, elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
But so you just were probably pretty overwhelmed for a little, or did you just okay, that's refreshing to hear. How was that time period? When did it become so heavy that you're like, I have to decide where my passion lies and where I'm going to put, what eggs in what basket?
Yeah, it's a very, very good thing. And I always say this out loud to people who want to do like a business, but they also have a full-time job. And I'm like, okay, listen, you're going to get to the point where it's like that full-time job is going to be part-time, so you can put hours into that. And since I was already just a part-time teacher, I had the flexibility, like you said, to actually put time into this business that kind of sparked in my brain. And when I realized I was getting really good at it, but I was a really good professor and people loved being taught by me, I was like, shit. It got to the point where I was a terrible teacher, and then I was a terrible business owner. Like I could only give 50 each. And then I was like, okay, I have to give one up because I'm not sleeping. I'm not taking care of my body. I'm not eating right. And like my students are upset, employees and clients are upset. So something has to give. So I gave up the teaching and then ramped up Northern Spruce Media.
I love that. And that's part of the journey. We talked about this a little bit off screen, that I love to kind of peel back for people listening to this, because at the end of the day, they don't get to see that. And I can bet, just by the little bit that I've met you, they probably didn't see that even when you were going through it. And I think that's something that a lot of business owners, we can conceal kind of what we feel or what we're going through. And I think it's always important to reflect back, because a lot of people may be stuck in that. I know I've been growing my team, and, it's tough. It's hard. And when you're in it, you're trying to train and mentor and grow, and you're not sleeping as well. You're not doing a lot of things well. And my business is split between property management and buying and selling. And Jamie and I have talked about this a lot of times. I'm heavy in one and not in the other, and I see it clearly. My deals start drying up, but the property management's running really smooth, or my hand's not in the property management cookie jar every day, and the board's full of deals, but then I've got 10 fires, maybe sometimes literally, to put out over here. So I love hearing that you made that decision, you made that leap. And then, so that was about, you said, a year into the business?
I think that was probably 3 years into the business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, and I think this is a thing for a lot of people. They have a hard time giving up a paycheck. Yes. And, like you get used to this paycheck. And then when you let go of that and take the risk, it's scary. So it's not like my paycheck was huge by any means, because I was only part-time. So it was an easy thing to do. And I knew I was already making good money on the business. So I was like, okay, this is something I can risk. I'm not going to not be able to actually afford apples. Like I can still pay for food, get gas, turn on my lights, and do this, but then do this so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I find really curious there, so you were always part-time in the teaching, right? Or were you full-time and moved to part-time?
No, I was always part-time. I could have gotten full-time, but it was just it wouldn't have worked out for me.
Yeah. So did you, when you got that job and you went part-time, did you see it as just something to pass the time and get some money in until you worked out what you were going to do? Like, for a lot of people, right, they dive head first into a full-time job, and they're in that kind of salary, how do I stop getting the salary and start my own thing? But you went into that part-time. You knew that you weren't fully dedicating yourself to that. Was that a conscious decision, or
it was like my first real job? It was just it was like my first real job. I graduated and from 3D animation, and then the college hired me. And it was just something that I was 21 or 22. So it was like, when you're 22 and you can say, hey, I'm a college professor, like I can teach at the college level. It was just like, I was able to get job interviews like crazy, because like people saw that if I could teach it, I could do it very well. But I mean, if they offered me full time right away at the age of 22, I would have taken it, just because I don't know anything else. But I'm very into like the universe, and it's like everything happens for a reason. So it's like, cool. I was part-time, so I could do the DJing stuff, which was so much fun in my 20s. I could do the hat business. I could do like anything I wanted and make mistakes, all the while still teaching and educating the generation like that's upcoming. And honestly, almost all of my team are my ex-students, because like I trained them and I hired them, which was so good. It was
That's
great.
Amazing. That's
amazing. The secret weapon.
And
you go first, Sandra.
You go. We're loving this. We have all the questions.
I'm really curious because of the side gigs that you were doing. You know, when you started, what was the first one? Was that the hat business or the DJing?
I think it was the hats. They kind of work together. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you started the hat business, was that like, oh, this is quite fun, it's making me a bit of money? Or was it like, how do I scale this into a massive business? Like, what was your mentality into doing that on the side? Or was it just fun?
I think it was fun. I think the coolest thing was seeing people everywhere wearing hats that I designed. And they didn't know that I designed them. And like, I would do like limited edition things where they were all custom made out in China. And then, you know, I would incorporate people within the city. So I would do art underneath the brim of the hat with local artists. And then not all, but part proceeds would go to their art, because the starving artist kind of situation. So I would do things like that. But it was just so cool. And then when the word kind of spread and I was making hats for like football players and like companies out in restaurants in Los Angeles, I was like, what the heck am I doing? Like, I don't even know how I'm doing this, but it's happening. But it got to the point where it's like, I was up really late at night, because that's how I had to communicate with the manufacturers. And then once again, I was too tired, but then I was teaching in the morning, and it was just like, once again, something had to give. And it was the hat thing. If I could do it again, I would do it again. I would just get someone else to do all the hard stuff, you know? But yeah, like I was getting hats in stores. So I would go in stores, my hats would be on the shelves. It would be so cool to see like someone pick them up, try them on, and then purchase. I don't know. It was just like, I just thought it was cool. There's nothing other than that than just the cool factor, to be honest.
That'd be a little surreal, like
basic story.
Crazy seeing that.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, and I think, you know, I'm realizing this more and more. It's kind of like anything that you really want to do, you can find a way to do it. And my husband right now, he's working on some solar rigs out in Colorado for Bitcoin mining. And I'm like, how are you going to do this? Like, he is NABCEP certified in solar. So like, yes, he has a lot of information about it. He's like, up all night. Like, what's so funny hearing that? It's like China wakes up, you know, and it's like, they don't start really communicating with him till like 7:00 at night. And so I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, what are you doing over there? He's like, I'm trying to get this battery ordered for the ship. And I'm like, what? He's like, I'm trying to ship out these batteries. So anything that you want to do, you really can do it. I met this amazing girl in San Francisco, and she is really worried about like what types of fabrics and such she uses. And she's starting an organic cotton seamless underwear line. And she's like, I know nothing about this. Like, she's in real estate and hard money lending. And she's like, this is what I'm doing. This is my passion project, which sounds like what you were doing with the hats. And it's so fun to see like something that is just for fun go that successful. And it sucks that you let go of it, but it sounds like it was obviously the right direction. But learned a lot. What would you say would have been like the value, like 3 takeaways from that hat company that helped you, you know, really excel that quickly? You know, would you learn?
Oh, well, first, I just want to agree with you. Like, you can absolutely do anything you want. Like, anything you want. If you want to go and build solar panels, you can go do that. You just gotta learn how to do it. And I think that's the struggle with people, especially if they don't have the entrepreneur mind. They will just have that block, be like, I can't. And then they won't. Where it's like people like us say, I can, and we do. And then that's it. So I think like that, I just got goosebumps because it's so true. Like,
I love that.
You can try and tell people who don't have that mindset that you can, and they just won't. So it's just like, yeah, I think born an entrepreneur 100% is like those can people, you know, they just don't stop. But takeaways, let's see here. I think like for me, I was so young. I was like 21. I didn't know how to actually make money from it, you know? So like understanding like if it costs this much to make one hat, how much should I make? And that's a good profit. Because, you know, I was just like, cool, like I'm making $20 off each hat. That's awesome. But it's like, it's costing me X amount of dollars. So like the value of each hat is something I should have like really taken in. I should have found a partner, I guess, that could help me with sales outside of like my knowledge. Networking was huge for me. So that's how I got into stores and stuff. So that was good. But once again, like my knowledge at that age could only go so far. So that was a thing too. And I don't know. I think the one thing I do regret, because I really wanted to do it, was to go out to China, go to the manufacturer and meet them. Like do that face-to-face like interaction with who's actually making my hats would have been so cool. And I think really beneficial for my growth if I wanted to continue growing it.
I was going to say, I think you would have, if you had chosen that path. I mean, you chose a path that it seems like led you the right way, but it really feels like a lot of what you learned early on, and that's what I love. Like, I think a good entrepreneur, and Jamie is amazing at this, like, you know, he'll talk about things that, you know, he's had that he went a different path or just flopped. And then, you know, I could sit and tell you a million strategies and things that I've tried to implement that they didn't work for me. They didn't work for my business. It works for other people. And we dropped it. We dropped that project, that arm, that leg, and severed that baby off, moved on. I think it's really important to analyze it just enough to, you know, figure out here's what I could have done better, but not get analysis paralysis on the next time and just say, oh, I failed at that, or I didn't do that, or my knowledge stops here. But no, you had the right mindset. Like, if I was going to do that again, I would want more, you know, boots on the ground. I would want a partner in sales. I love that. And partnerships, I think, are huge in any industry. So let's talk a little bit about your current, the Northern Spruce.
One more question.
Oh, God.
I have one more question. So, yeah, so what I find interesting, and a lot of people will gloss over it, this, like we were just saying, right? So failure, success, they only see the success, right? And you had those lessons that you took away. I think, and I've gone through this personally, the decision to stop doing something, like stop doing the hats.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's this thing called the sunken cost fallacy, which is essentially like, oh, come on, if we just keep doing this, it's going to work out. But really, the sooner you cut it off and stop doing it, the better. But when you have to go through that part where you have to kill your baby in order to get onto the next thing and take everything you've learned, like how did you deal with that? Was it easy? Or what was that process like? Because for me, with one of my previous businesses, it was like a feeling I started to get. And then I was just like, right, I need to do this and kind of cut the head of the snake off. So how was that for you?
Also, no babies were harmed in the making of this podcast.
No
babies are metaphorical. Just us.
No metaphorical babies were harmed during this episode.
That is so funny. I think like you, maybe it's a feeling of you don't want people to think that you're a failure. And I think, you know, that was my big thing. It's like, I did this, I put so much work into it, and like, it's awesome, but you know, people don't know what's going on to actually make that happen. So yeah, to know when, you know, this is done, it is what it is. It did amazing. I've learned from it, and now I'm going to go on to the next thing. But people just see like, oh, this closed down, it must have failed. It's like, no. I'm doing this so I can do more better things, you know, have more success. But I think the biggest thing was like, especially at a young age, like facing like what people would consider a failure and like hearing that or them questioning, you know, it's like, why did you stop Crafted? Like, well, and like them just assuming all these things. And it's like, no, I stopped because, you know, it was exhausting and I want to do other things. And that's it. But knowing when to stop is huge. And, you know, I see this all the time on Dragon's Den when they're like, I've spent $5 million and I borrowed money from my family to make this happen and I have 0 sales. And they're like, stop, like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop now. This is a bad idea.
Kill the baby.
Yeah. Kill the baby. So it's just like, it's being able to recognize that, you know, it's like, is this actually a good idea? Or should I just stop taking money from my family? You know what I mean?
What is Dragon's Den? You both seem to know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Shark Tank.
Translate.
Shark Tank for you.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. It's called Dragon's Den in the UK. Is it Dragon's Den in Canada as well?
Dragon's Den, yeah. But it's Shark Tank in the US, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, is this, I didn't know if it was like an online like Reddit forum where like, okay, Dragon's Den, now I know.
I think that's a great lesson for people listening because I know a lot of people that are really just dragging this business out when really the best thing you can do is end the business. I'm not going to use the same metaphor again. Learn from it and start the next thing. And I think it's an entrepreneurial quality though, that when you get hit down, when this isn't working, when you get cut down, that you dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and then go and do the next thing. So it's just so cool to see that is your mentality, and that's clearly why you're succeeding and making progress. I have one last question before we get back onto Northern Spruce Media. Is that hat a crafted hat?
It is not. No. This hat is called Katin. They used to make, so they started their business, which is really cool, making like boat covers.
Oh.
So they were like into like the boating industry, and then I guess they started making apparel, but that's just how they started their business, and it kind of grew into something else. And now it's just like this cool, it's a US brand. Yeah, I love them. They're all my hats now.
Fantastic.
Well, I did not realize this until recently. Hermes, they started out as an equine business. They did luxury horse saddles, which is really crazy. Then they got into the silks and the scarves and the belts. And, you know, it was a very natural, it doesn't seem like it is, but it was a very natural progression. And I mean, they're a huge luxury house. I mean, everyone knows Hermes. So I think
Lamborghini started making tractors.
Yeah. How many Lamborghini tractors? They cut that.
That's true.
I think they're still making them, actually. Yeah. They're still making it. It's crazy.
Really? Wow.
100%. What? Yeah. There's a famous show in the UK, and there's this guy, Jeremy Clarkson, who has a farm, and he drives a Lamborghini tractor. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So back to Northern Spruce Media. And I think something that you alluded to, which is just crazy to anyone that is starting out their business or growing their business, is growing your team. So when you started Northern Spruce Media, you were doing the shoots for free. So there must have been a transition there from free to getting paid. But then how did you scale it? Like, did you bring on someone before you were getting paid? When you were getting paid, did you scale it? Who was your first hire? Like, how did you go from one person to
0 to 18?
Was it 18?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's 18 now. Yeah, so I mean, as I was doing it for free, I was just solo for sure. And then the word of mouth went a little crazy because I think like a lot of the companies that were already doing it were doing a very good job. And it wasn't so personal. Like I would go and I meet agents for coffee, and then I would tell them like what I can do. You know, I would just sell myself. And then honestly, just like real estate agents do now, I went door knocking to brokerages, and I'd give them a paper with my price sheet, and I'd be like, hey, I'm a photographer in the area, like hire me, like give me a chance. And if you don't want to hire me, can I do a presentation in your office? And a lot of people would say yes. So I would give them a presentation. This is kind of when Instagram was slowly taking off, and I'd give them stats and like all these like cool things that nobody knew about yet. So not only was I shooting houses and getting good referrals, just all word of mouth, but I was also educating them. So there's the education again from my background, is like I was implementing that and educating agents on Instagram, which nobody really knew about yet. And then the word of mouth kind of took off a little bit more. So I was doing like, let's say 3 a day, but then I was adding 3 at night. And that's like photo, video, I guess Matterport is what I was using at the time, drone. And then I needed a little help. So then I would hire a couple freelancers. And I'm still great friends with them today. One of them still works for me 7 years later. And the other guy, he was just focused on cars, but like we're still good friends. And if I asked him to shoot, I'm sure he would say yes. But anyways, so from there, I was like, okay, cool. I did my taxes and I was like, I can't really understand, like, I'm spending all this money on freelancer, but like, how come I'm not hiring someone's salary? Because like, at least I can calculate and know how much money I'm spending a month on this one individual. So then I hired my first employee, and she's still with me today. She's my lead photographer. She's amazing. So yeah, from there, here's the thing is when someone's plate's full, I say, tell me, because I don't want you to overwork, because if you're overworked and you're not happy, you're going to be gone. My goal is to keep you. You know, I don't have a fast turnaround rate. Almost everybody who I hire stays because of that. So someone's like, Alex, my plate is full. I'm like, let's put on another plate. I'll take half of your plate off. So then you can focus, and that's going to automatically be filled no matter what. But now I have a new plate that I'm now responsible to fill as well. So it's like every time I put down a new plate, there's more growth. New plate, more growth. And it's just recognizing and understanding and listening to your employees on their wants and their needs, you know? And yeah, you know, in busy season, when it's so busy, we're working 10 hours a day. It's okay because they love the place that they work at. They really do. And there's overtime options. And, you know, we're creating incentives for doing twilight. So it's like, if you do 1 twilight, here's a bonus. So you do 2, here's a bigger bonus. You do 3, here's more. You're not allowed to do more than that though, because then you're going to be too tired to work. So it's like, you know, creating those incentives for your employees as well. But to go from 1 person to 18, that's just how I did it. It's mainly by listening, analyzing my situation, and growing with my team.
I love that. So what I find interesting is that your first hire, you know, wasn't a back office. It wasn't a bookkeeper. It wasn't, you know, sales, you know, marketer. Mm-hmm. It was really an extension of you. You basically said, I need someone who can do what I can do and shoot. Mm-hmm. So you must have had a pretty good handle on kind of billing, collections, sales, marketing. It sounds like networking and word of mouth really got you extremely far.
Yeah, honestly, it's just being a good person and creating that trust with the clientele. And, you know, going to brokerages and the education part and like meeting the head of the brokerages. Because then if you meet them and they trust you and they like you, all their agents are going to know about you. You know what I mean? So it's like that was a huge thing for me, was becoming really good friends with huge brokers. You know, we're to the point where it's like I go to their house for Christmas, or it's like I'm invited to their birthday parties, and it's like, we're not colleagues, or, you know, I'm not just a service, I'm your friend. And by me being their friend, my employees are also their friend.
I love that. And you provide value first. That's kind of something that a lot of people forget, is that, you know, I have lenders who forget that about the agents, and they're like, you know, I help you with your Zillow, so therefore you, I'm like, no, you forgetting we give you the leads.
Yeah.
You don't give us leads. We give you the leads. But that's kind of where I'm like, I want all of us to enjoy each other, be friends with each other, so that I want this to be a fun place to work. So like, we want to work with people who value every lead and really treat it like it's their brother or sister, because that's how we're treating our clients. And it's a reflection on them who they use. So when you come in and you're like, hey, Andrew, let me give you all these stats to help you put in your toolbox. Of course, I'm going to call you. Of course, I'm going to go to you. Real estate agents, in my mind, are the easiest people in the world to get to use you if you can provide value, because most people in these types of industries, they want to always get something. We'll do this, but you got to give us something, or do something, or pay something. So in our line of work, that was probably really refreshing for them, for you to come in and, hey, I'm Alex, like, here's some information and knowledge for you. If you need help, here's my price sheet. Let's do this. And I think that was an awesome way to go about it. It sounds like you had already done that once before with the hats and shop owners. So you kind of went right back to that.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's so true. I'm not a taker. I'm such a giver. I give to my employees as much as I possibly can. I give to my agents as much as I possibly can. And I'll just give you an example. So for my employees, I take them on a retreat every year. So we go away on a retreat. I spoil the shit out of them. And it's just a really good time. For my agents, and here's one thing nobody does, and it blows my mind, is they don't get anything back from their service providers. But what I do is I create this event called the Sprucies, and it's awards night for all my agents. So we'll do like best Lux listing, and it'll be like bang, 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 here are the nominees. So like kind of like the Oscars, but just more fun with spruce trees everywhere. So awesome. I spend like I think I spent $15,000 on this night for them this year. I create all these handmade awards. I provide food, drinks, everything. And it's just like, it's for them. It's like a thank you for using us and working with us and choosing us. And I think that's how we've gotten almost all the largest agents in our city. Like we have the largest real estate agent in Canada, the largest. He has over 80 agents under his belt. And then we have everybody else. And when people don't see our prices,
who it is so we can look them up later.
Yeah, Rob Golfi.
Rob Golfi. Okay, I want to look him up. I want to see his stuff. I want to see your. I've seen your website, but I want to see. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah, so signing him was like a huge deal for us. It just happened. I think it happened in September. We signed him.
Wow.
But like the service that we were able to provide for him is like none other. Like this is what I told him in the meeting, and I'm meeting the biggest real estate agent in Canada. I was like, Rob, I want to throw you into a river, and it's going to flow so well you can't get out. And he just looked at me and I was like, it's
like, what's happening?
Yeah, I just create these weird analogies all the time. Yeah.
I love rivers. So
So I'm just like, it's going to work so well, you're not going to be able to get out of it.
I love
it. So it's like I'm pushing that trust on him, and it's like, it's a big deal. He's spending so much money on my company. So it's like, I got to do X, Y, and Z to make that happen. But we do monthly check-ins, especially for somebody that big. He has 80 agents. We have to do a check-in. Surveys, like, what do you like? What's not working? So we can grow with you. Today, for example, we're meeting all of our top agents and meeting them in person, bringing them coffees and being like, what works, what doesn't, what do you want? What are your goals for next year? So we can help you achieve them. So it's like me and 2 other people are just going to make these goals happen with them. But nobody does that.
No one does that. I mean, I'm
this is like textbook. This is like textbook. This is what you should do to grow your business, and the fact that you guys are actually doing it shows just how well it works. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's something that you kind of skipped over at the start though. So that those initial hires, you talk about the freelancer, the first person that you hired, So a huge thing for startups, or like when you're starting out the business, is the culture. So the fact that the first people that you hired were so good that they fit into the culture perfectly. And would you say from those 18 people, so you've hired 18 people and you fired 0 people? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or has there been some people lost along the way?
I definitely have let go of a couple people, but that is exactly why, because they didn't fit in with our work culture. They stick out like a sore thumb. They don't have they don't want to grow with the business. They're just there for money. And it's like, that's not what this is about. We're a media company. We're not making bank here, so it's like, we all got to work together to make this happen. And that's one thing that I noticed. We were doing interviews and people are like, well, I want to work remote. And I'm like, fuck that. Like, absolutely not. We have the best.
Jamie works remote, and I'm like, I can't. I cannot.
I can't.
My employee of 3 years, who was literally my right hand, and she's like, I have to relocate for my fiance, and I want to work remote. And I was like, I don't have a job for you remote, and that was the hardest business decision that I've ever made. But like it doesn't fit your culture. It doesn't fit your needs. Like you cannot bend over backwards for an employee. It will not work. Period. It's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. And, giving interviews, and I didn't even say this, and it was just like really nice to hear. But the guy that was interviewing the potential employee, he was like, listen, he's like, this work environment is so good, you want to come to work. And I was like, I was like, damn, it's that good? I was like, I did something right, you know? You come in and Ice Cube's playing, like you can do it, put your back into it. Like that's the kind of vibe like we have.
Amazing.
You know? People want to come inside and they want, like, we're all creative and we bump shit off with each other and it just works so well.
I love that. I wish I could say
brilliant.
that. Sometimes it's tense at the Culture Enterprise. That's my goal. That's what I want. We're in a really high pressured environment. So it's like, you know, when somebody just had a fire or a leak or something, it's like, boom, it's like straight strategic checklist, getting people in. Obviously the tenant's very upset and vendors are slow to move at times and owners want this and that. And you're trying to juggle it all. And, you know, you, as an owner, sometimes you have to be like, woosah, you have to remember, you have to be able to keep these vendors, this owner, this tenant, this employee, and your sanity. So let's just pretend like we're very calm.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always pressure though, because like videos are due within 48 hours. We're editing 15 videos a day. It's like, holy fuck, like we really gotta hustle down because if we're late, people are on our ass, you know? But I'm always like, guys, nobody's dying. It's just a video edit. Like, it's going to get done. And it's, you know? But
and inside, you're like, we're all dying.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
It's cool. Yeah. Turn up Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, my God.
You were talking earlier about how if there's too much on the plate for your team, you take it on. So I'm curious, how often is it per hour or is it per minute that you burn out? Because I can see, like, you know, the more you take off their plate, you're putting on yourself. And when you've got 18 people and you're taking on half of their plate, that's a lot of plate to take on. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Man, I take on their plate, but I hire right away, you know?
Okay.
It's like, I'll do as much as I can to support that. Yes, exactly. And I'm at the point now, so it's like I'm going on vacation and I have 17 people. If something's not getting done, I'm doing something wrong. Like, you know what I mean? There's enough people that we can all help each other and support each other out. So if something's not going, and someone has to email me about something so minuscule, I'll be like, what the fuck? Like, I'm doing something wrong. And I'll make a note. What am I doing wrong? Why did this happen? Why couldn't you figure this out yourself? Why couldn't Google help you?
ChatGPT, honey.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, what I love about what you said is, you know, I realized, and Jamie, you were firsthand through this with me, although it was the hardest thing I had to do to let my right hand go because, and it was a mutual, she's moving, but the role doesn't fit that, sustain that. But I knew I was doing something wrong when we would be on trips and Jamie visited us in Kentucky. We went and visited him in Scotland and that was such a cool trip, by the way. But, you know, I was telling Kim that I've never been on a trip ever. And I haven't had employees so stressed that they left, they couldn't complete, you know, not left, but like I have to leave for the day, I've got a migraine, or I come back and they don't show up the next day because I realized it hit me like a book in the face. Like I'm doing half of your job every day. I'm paying you for something that I'm doing half of every day. You don't do your job. We do your job.
Yeah.
That's why you can't function when I'm gone for 4 days, you know, and that I was like, that's not what I'm in this for, you know?
No.
So that this transition has been really hard and I'm in the middle of it. I had one new employee that I fired after 4 days. Hire slow, fire fast. You have to. It wasn't fit. It didn't fit with my agents. It didn't fit with me. It was a bad call. I mean, I hired out of need and like you're doing.
Yes.
But I hired just too quick and I knew I had concerns and made that leap. And I think it's important just to showcase that it's like at every stage you're going through different things. So at your stage, you're like, we're massive, we're huge, we continue to grow. And if I'm going to protect my employees, I've got to be ready to hire quick. I've got to be, you've got to have people lined up. If you're in that type of strategy, before you even need them, you need to know who you could pull in. So you probably are always running ads, or how are you keeping this continual state of hires available?
So like right now, like we're fine. So, but I have in my calendar, have interviews January, February 1st, have them hired by February 28th, the last day. So I want them hired March 1st, basically. That way it's just like, yeah. So it's like I'm giving myself that month to hire, because like you, when I would have to hire for need because I was desperate, I was hiring the wrong people. I was wasting time. I was wasting money. And then I was wasting like my employees' time because they would think, oh, we have someone. Now we don't, because like they didn't work out. But I learned that it's better to hire for attitude than skill, because you can train skill, you cannot train attitude. So if someone has a bad attitude, release them to the competition, because they're going to have the same attitude for the people you don't want anyways. So it's just like, Brilliant. That was a huge thing for me. Yeah. Release them to the competition. It's so relieving when you know they don't work for you. Goodbye.
And that's funny because what you just said, so Chris McGoldrick, founder of List Assist, just said the same thing. And he said, if you don't have the exact product market fit and you're not saying, I want to hire this person to do A, B, C, and that's exactly what I need them to do. And you hire for skill A, B, C, hire for the attitude and the personality. And train around the skill. And that's exactly what you just said. And I finally, I was so in the weeds. I have to have real estate experience. I have to have real estate administrative experience. I have to have this. And I was like, I would look past these amazing candidates who had the hunger, the drive, and the will. And finally, I've got a guy who's just killing it. And he's like, you're going to have to bear with me with real estate, but the rest of this, like, I've got it and I'm going to work, everyone. And that attitude just has helped really like revive me, because it's stressful when you were taking on half of your employees' plate. Now you're stressed. Everyone else can feel bad. So I love that you're saying that, because it's twice now that we've heard that on the podcast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a clear trend.
Because I did the same thing. Yeah, I would hire a shooter that knows how to shoot inside, and I don't even have to train them. But my God, their ego was to the roof, So I was like, you're not going to vibe with the team, because we like to support each other, where it's like, you think you know it all. So goodbye. I don't care how talented you are. It's just like, it's very, when you realize that as a business owner, it's very eye-opening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic mentality. We're at the end of the hour, but I have a couple more questions. Are you good to keep going? Time's flying.
Good. Yeah.
You good, Andrew?
I'm good. Let's go. I mean, this has just gone by so great. Yeah.
Okay.
So something fascinating that I see here, or at least I think this will be a real eye-opener, is your business. There's parallels between what Northern Spruce Media do and Coffee Enterprises. You're both service-based. And I think a lot of people in your sector or trying to build businesses similar to you have this fear, and I know Andrew's had this before, is as you're growing your team and you're hiring these people and you're training them, what is stopping them going out and doing it themselves? Like, do you have any kind of fear that these photographers you're training, these, to a really high standard, the Northern Spruce Media way, that they don't, that they'll go off and do their own thing? Because I see the parallels with Coffee Enterprises. Like, if you start training amazing brokers, what's stopping them going out and doing it themselves? So how do you see that? Is it a problem? Is it not a problem? How do you navigate that? I'm really curious.
My God, this was like my big fear years ago. Like, I would be like, oh my God, if they quit, they're just going to steal all my clients. They're going to do this. But they can't, because they don't have the systems like we do. Like, our client care is so incredible that if an agent leaves me or like my team, my company, for one individual, they're going to get 80% not what we can provide. They're going to get 20% for that person, which is just the service, which is just shooting, but we can still do that. So, if they leave and they lower their price for half price, cool. You're getting literally a minuscule of the quality that we can provide. Everything is organized. Everything's down. If something goes wrong, like you with a fire, our fires, 10 people are on that fire. Like, we're on it. Whereas one individual, they can't, because they have other clients and services where it's like, we have hands, we have the support. So yeah, it used to be a big fear of mine. And if someone left, I would make them sign like, you cannot do real estate or take my clients. I don't give a shit. If someone wants to leave me, go for it. One door closes, 10 more open. And it's like, that's the attitude you have to have. It's so true. Because like, why live in fear when there's like 30,000 real estate agents in Ontario? Like, I'm going to be fine.
Really quick, what I love about that, though, was the admittance that you will go through that. And I think, when I first started hiring some good agents, I was like, oh my God, like I'm giving them these are systems and tools that I built. What I forgot was I build it. And I finally now I'm like, hey, come on the team, give it a try. If you think you can do this or you can do it better and you don't want to grow it here where you've already got the support staff, good luck. Because probably what's happening is you don't want to work. You don't want our systems because they work, but they require you to work. So I think I had to get that out of my mind. It's like, you can't duplicate this. It's my system. Yep. I didn't get this off realestate.com. Like I created these buyers guides, these sellers guides, these checklists, the protocols, the tools, the systems, the culture, the community, the atmosphere. You still feel it slightly. But when I first started hiring agents, I was like, no, because they just want to do that. Now, but I do think you probably would say the same thing. You can sometimes see that person that you're like, they want to use you to get a leg up and it's not worth your time, effort, and energy. Yeah. That I still try to spot because you're like, this is a waste of my time, effort, resource, and my employee and a culture danger. So I'm still always cautious of that. But I love that you had the fear and you just put your head down and freaking worked through it until you built the systems, processes, and tools and culture. Yeah. That's too big to fail.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's getting over that though. That was the hard thing, was getting over that and letting someone in. Like, you have to be so vulnerable to let somebody in, see how you do things, but they'll never be able to be you, Andrea. That's the thing. You are the business. I am the business and they cannot be me. Just like Jamie. Well, Jamie has robots doing his stuff, but
Jamie is a robot.
This is a simulation. This is fine.
Hey, that's what Brendan said he wanted the name of it to be.
Right, my next rapid fire question. Biggest challenge to date at Northern Spruce Media?
Ooh.
It's a good one.
Biggest challenge to date? Well, that's tough because I'm like, there's some things
Nothing's
that are hard right now.
It's fine.
It's like rainbows and sunshine. Yeah. No, I think a huge challenge for us right now is finding an office space. That's like, we're trying to grow into, like, I mean, if we have 18 people in our office right now, we're all touching butts. And it's like, it's not a good butt touch. It's just like kind of awkward. So it's like, we're looking for a bigger office space that we can create studios in that people can rent out. I want to create a co-working space within this office that, creatives can't afford their own office, but they can come use a Mac with the software on it. And, it's a membership monthly fee kind of thing. I want to create that really amazing work environment that emulates this SpongeBob photo. They come in, they feel creative, they feel cool, and they're part of a community. Yeah. So I think that's a huge challenge for me right now. Other than that, like,
when your biggest problem is finding an office space, you're doing things well. That's great.
Yeah. The other thing, I'm going to
mention, flowing.
Being an agent, something, I've been trying to like spruce up my area because I'm doing a lot more podcasts and I'm actually for a group. They're based out of Canada, Atlas Alliance. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I just did I'll have to send you over their information. But, something that would be really cool in that space is a space for agents to come and like record and have Zooms and podcasts and do business planning clinics and stuff with, you providing that space, because there are places that lease that out, but most real estate agents don't really have an office. That majority of them, maybe the rainmaker, the boss, whoever, they've got an office, they've got a space, but it's normally a co-op space. So just like a little side thing, as I hear that, like with that culture, what a way to keep those raving fans being able to provide that service. And guess what? There are video editors right on site and thumbnail creators. It's just like a, ecosphere. I love that.
So that's what I'm trying to create. I'm just waiting for a loan. That's all I'm waiting for. I just need to be approved that I can. Yes, exactly. Yes. But it's so true, because I mean, there's nowhere like that in our city. Like, we're in a building that we can rent studios, but they're so like, they're not us. It just doesn't feel proper. So I mean, I just want to create something crazy. And it's
That's
risky,
really cool.
and I don't care. Like, I'm willing to take the risk. That's the thing that most other business people won't do, is take the risk because it involves so much money. But money comes and goes, time doesn't, and that's just like the way I run my business as well.
Love that.
That's great mentality. Okay, so my last question, and you kind of alluded to this with the office space, is what is next? What is 2025 looking like for Northern Spruce Media?
Well, Northern Spruce Media, I think the one thing that we're going to do is we're going to be hiring freelancers and contractors all over Ontario. We have our training down pat. So like training these people is going to be easy. Moving things to auto enhance AI for photo editing is going to help us significantly. Yes. Yes. We're finding video editors overseas that help us and implement the way we edit to lighten our load so we can focus on more luxury in office. Because I never want someone to touch our Lux listings because they're so special. And then, we just launched Northern Spruce Creative, which is a marketing agency essentially. So we just hired a digital marketing specialist. He's crazy awesome and smart, and I have so much to learn from him. I literally brought him in and I was like, I have no idea what to tell you what to do because I don't know what it is, but this is what I want. So listen to my vision, just make it happen. So it's like, I'm investing so much money in this guy, trust. So I think that is going to take off like crazy. 2025 for NSM, I want 5,000 houses shot. And I don't really know my realistic goals for the creative side because I haven't seen the numbers yet. So once I see those numbers next Friday, I will then have, okay, we did 200 shoots. I want to do 500 shoots kind of thing.
I love that.
That's really exciting.
I'm excited to continue watching you in 2025. This has been amazing. This has been great.
Yeah, no, thank you guys
really
so much for having me.
Shared so much knowledge, amazing story, and I think we're all rooting for you. This is really exciting.
Amazing. Yeah.
So good. Thank you so much, guys.
So much.
Thanks for coming on. I want to start a tradition on here as well, because we're hoping to have more and more guests as we go forward. And these are always people that are entrepreneurs, starting their own business, going through all these struggles. So I want you to ask a question that we will ask the next guest on the podcast. So have a think. What would you like to ask someone who has gone through building a business, entrepreneur?
I'll wait. I need to write it out so it makes sense.
Okay.
Because the way I'll spit it out will literally be a mess. Okay.
We'll have that secretive. Yes, we'll have that secret question on the next one.
So you guys listening will have to tune into the next podcast to hear what Alex's question is to the next guest. So there we go. Excellent. Thanks so much, Alex. That's been great.
Another episode of the BBD podcast. Follow along, comment, like, share. Let us know what you guys think about the episode. Peace.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you later. Bye.